Okay, so in this short video, I'm going to talk about fundamentals of kinesiology, and the topic that's going to talk is there are 6 types of movable joint in our body, and with the different structure, it allows different types of movement. So the first type of joints that I'm going to talk about is hinge joint. Hinge joint. So where is it in the body? So with the help of this skeletal model, you can see this is hinge joint. The characteristic of hinge joint is allowed movement in one plane. So for example, like this. Can you do sideways? No. Can you do rotation? No. Okay, so in our body, you can see the elbow here can only move in one plane. So this is the movement of hinge joint. So the second type of joint that I'm going to talk about is the pivot joint. Pivot joint. Okay, where is it in the body? It's also in the elbow joint, but refers to this part here. Our elbow also allows rotational movement like this. Why our elbow can perform this kind of movement is because of the pivot joint here. So with the help of the skeletal model, you can see it allows rotation. When I'm twisting it, it can rotate. So just now when I'm referring to hinge joints, I'm referring to this part. When I'm referring to pivot joints, I'm referring to the structure here. So this is hinge joint, whereas this is pivot joint. The third type of joints that I'm going to cover will be the gliding joint. Gliding joint. So the word glide means like this. So in the skeletal model, the small bones here allowed gliding movement against each other. Not so clear, but it can glide over each other. So another joint that I'm going to talk about is the ellipsoid joint, also known as biaxial ball and socket joint. It allows movement in 2 planes. So one example will be the wrist joint. Okay, so in the skeletal model here, so this is the wrist joint. It allows movement like this, also like this. But it can't rotate. Okay, so you might ask, okay, is this rotating? Is this rotating? We call this circumduction, not rotation. Rotation is really movement like this. This is called rotation. Okay, so ellipsoid joint allows movement in 2 planes. The 5th type of joints that I'm going to cover is the ball and socket joints, also referred as multi-axial ball and socket. So in our body, our shoulder and the hip is ball and socket joints. In the skeletal model here, you can see the shape of bone here is like a ball. And this part here is just like a socket. So the ball and a socket. And it actually allows movement in all the planes. For example, you can do movement like this. You can do movement like this. Even movement, diagonally. And rotational movement like this. Okay? So, in our body, rotational movement is like this. Okay, I can do this. I can also do this and this. So basically, movements in all the plane. And so this is the hip joint. This is also ball and socket joint. You can see this is the ball and this is the socket. But you can see that the socket of the hip is deeper than the socket of the shoulder. So it creates more stability, and you can think about the movement that the shoulder allows is larger than the hip joint allows. So the shoulder can move in all the planes, but it can move in a wider range or larger range. But the hip is in a more limited way, but it creates stability. But both of them are ball and socket joints. The last type of joints that I'm going to talk about is saddle joint. Saddle joint. Okay. So the classic example is the thumb, but the thumb in this skeletal model here is locked. So I'm rather use my thumb. So it actually also allows movement in all plane, but it only allowed slight rotation. Okay, again, this is not rotation, this is circumduction. Rotation really means this movement. Very, very difficult to visualize because I can't cut my hand and let you see what's the movement inside. But just bear in mind the saddle joint, it's like ball and socket joint, but only allows slight rotation movement. Ball and socket joints allows, rotational movement. Okay, so these are the 6 types of joints. So I would like to pronounce the joints again. Hinge joint, pivot joint, gliding joint, ellipsoid joint, also known as biaxial ball and socket joint, ball and socket joint, multi-axial ball and socket joint, and saddle joint. Thank you for watching this video.